Oh dear. Hello, everyone. Well, we're trying to get this right. I am Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the nutrition detective around these parts, and we are here with another Friday Love Your Liver live stream. Boy, I'm just trying to get my setup all set up here. So, I was, after last week, going through resveratrol, the magical supposed wine antioxidant that's so good for you, and I went through the toxicity research on that, and I had a thought about other polyphenols, and I thought, what about fertility research? Because one of the things I believe is that they want us all, particularly the women, barren and to not be fertile. If there was some dastardly plan to reduce the number of people, if you were able to get people to buy health foods, to buy stuff that they are told and think is good for them, that actually makes them unable to have kids, you could eliminate huge numbers in one generation. They don't have to do it actively. They can just minimize your ability to make new people. So, with all the stuff we went through on vitamin A and that, if you haven't seen my video on vitamin A and infertility on this channel, you should definitely go watch it. And then you should go and watch the birth control pill video about how that raises vitamin A in your blood and raises copper in your blood. And then think about how they give you a copper IUD to make you infertile, ladies. They give you copper to make you infertile. You should be scared to death of the copper-loving people. Do you think they might even, let's say they might encourage some of these copper pushers at this time? They're encouraging the vitamin A pushers. They're encouraging the copper pushers. They're encouraging the polyphenol plant antioxidant pushers. And there's little old me out here going, this is watching a slow motion train wreck for me. It really is. And what do? I help men and women fix their fertility. Actually, Sam mentioned here a live testimonial over here in the chat. Sam said, after I took Accutane, my life had never been the same. I was struggling with erectile dysfunction, and now for the first time I feel normal again. I'd like to emphasize the importance of low-fat meat. Thank you for that, Sam. Thank you for that testimonial. Infertility, erectile dysfunction, that would be one way to make it happen in men. Accutane, the active form of vitamin A. Don't ever let anyone fool you, folks. Vitamin A you eat, beta carotene, carotenoids, retinol in animal foods, retinol esters, which is actually what you're eating when you eat animal foods. These things all eventually turn into a compound called 13-cis-retinoic acid. It is considered one of the active forms of vitamin A. When you eat vitamin A, your body is turning some part of it into Accutane, isotretinoin, 13-cis-retinoic acid. It's all the same. If you want to believe and go completely against chemistry and say that somehow natural 13-cis-retinoic acid from food that your body has converted along the way is somehow different chemically and does different things in the body than 13-cis-retinoic acid that you take in a pill, your chemistry knowledge is completely backwards and wrong, and you're wrong. They're the people who are telling you this, they're wrong. They're wrong. They're hurting you through their incompetence in science. It's called the appeal to nature fallacy. You should look it up. So, erectile dysfunction, we fix that. The importance of low-fat meat. What do the conventional people try to do? They try to get you to eat higher fat meat. Marbling in meat, where you can see the fat streaks in the middle of the meat, is extreme. Basically, that's from morbidly obese cows. And if you think eating morbidly obese cows that have fat inside the muscle is healthy for you, you're wrong. And it's going to hurt you in the long run. Here we have Sam talking about the importance of low-fat meat, which is something we go over in the Love Your Liver program. Humans are not designed for high-fat diets. I don't care what argument you throw out about the Eskimo and the Inuit, who all have hypothyroid face and don't live a long time. That's not a good argument. I'm sorry. It's just not. Can people initially feel better and maybe even lose a significant amount of weight on a super high-fat diet? Sure. People can take steroids and look amazing. That doesn't mean they're doing anything good for their liver. So let's go into this polyphenol thing. Polyphenols, the big plant antioxidants they've sold you on, the antioxidant theory of disease, where they think if you just take tons and tons of plant antioxidants, that you're going to live forever. It's been debunked. It's in the research. They've said, well, we thought this was a great idea, and it hasn't proven true at all. Oops. It looks great on cell studies, but in real people, it doesn't come through at all. Does this sound like any other compound we talk about here? Maybe two of them, copper and vitamin A. They look amazing in cell studies. Even retinoic acids like 13-cis-retinoic acid and all-trans-retinoic acid look amazing in cell studies. They were even talking about using it to try to cure Alzheimer's. And there was all sorts of studies proposed and all sorts of mechanisms proposed. You ever heard about Retin-A or Accutane being used to treat Alzheimer's? No, because in real people, it was a disaster. They never even published the studies. They talked about them a lot and they left all that up. So now people on the internet who love vitamin A will be like, look what they're going to use it in Alzheimer's. And that the last theoretical study where they talked about it was like 2011 or 2012. They talked about it. Did they do the studies? Maybe. They never let you see any of the results because it was a train wreck. So polyphenols look amazing in cell studies, some, until you see the fertility studies. And it doesn't work in the real world. Your main detox systems are oxidative in nature. That means antioxidants work directly against your main detox mechanisms. Okay, so let's get into this polyphenol paper. Oh, and somebody was commenting about how I should get into the OBS and the Livestream software and all that stuff. And I totally agree. I've had other priorities this week. I'm going to try. So anybody out there who is in the Love Your Liver network, if you have experience with Livestream software and you want to maybe walk me through it so I can learn this as quickly as possible so I could maybe do a Livestream software next week, please just contact me on the network. You can send me a message there. I just want to learn it quick so I have it and it's done. All I need to do is learn how to share screens within a Livestream software and make it all work without all the blips and bloops I see other people doing on their live streams. So anyway, polyphenols. I put the link to the paper in there. The effects of dietary polyphenols on reproductive health and early development. Ladies and gentlemen, you should pay attention to this. Why are we talking about polyphenols? Why would I think polyphenols are poisonous? Why do I know they're poisonous? It's a thing called aposematism. Let me find my old article on my forum about aposematism. Aposematism is a thing in nature, where nature marks poisons for you. Nature tells you things are poisonous. What's the easiest way that nature could mark something as being poisonous? What sense would it involve? It would involve your eyes, right? It would be marked. Why do we put the skull and crossbones on things that are poisonous? To tell you they're poisonous. Why do they put that triangle, the circle with the triangles coming off of it for radioactive stuff. So you recognize radioactive stuff because your eyes, you can see it further away than you could smell it or you could taste it. That would be the last thing you want to do. Okay. So what gives most of the plant foods that we eat their bright or strong or dark colors? Vitamin A is one of them. Red, yellows, oranges, and there is quite a bit of vitamin A in dark green foods. Reds, yellows, oranges, dark greens. How much of the rainbow is that, folks? That's half the rainbow. What makes up the other half of the rainbow? That would be polyphenols. Blues, even reds, yes, like your berries, your high polyphenol, high antioxidant berries, your blueberries, your purple colors, that stuff. That's pretty much the whole rainbow there. Bright or strong or dark colors is how nature marks poisons in plants. The most important thing to remember is that plants don't have claws, they don't have teeth, they don't really have a brain to think about running away. They can't run away. They don't have legs and they don't have a brain to tell them where to go or how to do it. So what do? They do chemical warfare. That's what they do. The most toxic plants tell you by marking themselves with very bright or strong or dark colors. Also, on a side note, plants mark themselves as poisonous with very strong smells. You essential oil people should be perking up. Essential oils are plant toxins. If you haven't seen the pictures of where, essential oils eat through styrofoam cups and other ones just completely destroying certain detox systems like ALDH, which is very important to detoxing alcohols. Retinol, vitamin A is an alcohol. They slow down aldehyde dehydrogenase. It's just really bad. And then also, so we have bright sight, we have bright, strong, dark colors. We have smells, which would be the next thing because humans aren't great at smelling. We don't have a great sense of smell compared to animals. But you can smell things, strong smelling things. You should be thinking that's toxic, right? If you have fresh meat in front of you or fresh fish, it doesn't smell like much, does it? Nobody walks into a room and they're like, ooh, you have apples in here, don't you? It doesn't happen. Unless you got rotten apples at like the apple farm. That's where you just smell vinegar, right? Vinegar and ugh. Anyway, but apples themselves, you cut open a fresh apple, there's not a lot of smell. There's not a lot of smell to a fresh steak or a fresh fish. Foods that aren't poisonous don't have strong smells. Then we have bitter taste. If things taste bitter, they're generally toxic. Now, go and put this into chocolate and coffee that are unsweetened. They're very, very bitter. And they just so happen to be full of polyphenols, and chocolate's very full of copper. What are they trying to sell you on every street corner in this country? Chocolate, coffee, sugar. Do you think any of this is a coincidence? And if you're going to quit coffee, what do they try to get you on? Green tea. So those are the markers of poison, folks, in plant foods. They do chemical warfare. So let's get into this. Let me find this part of the paper. So they go over soy isoflavones in this too. Soy isoflavones, soy phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens, for those of you who really want to avoid estrogenic things, which is generally a good idea, those are all polyphenols. So let's get into this. Where are we going to get here? Come on. This is a big paper. Big paper. There we go. We're almost there. Okay. In the fertility and sexual development part of this paper, Let's go. First, they got to have the big introduction. For instance, curcumin, the predominant dietary pigment in turmeric, has been shown to promote mouse oocyte, that's egg, apoptosis, which leads to a significant reduction in the rate of oocyte maturation, fertilization, and in vitro embryonic development. They're basically just describing eggs exploding and not, maturing, not fertilizing, and not developing into a baby. That's infertility. That's one paper. Okay. Another study also noted that curcumin induces apoptosis and developmental injury in mouse blastocysts. Moreover, Chen and Chan demonstrated using a mouse model that dietary consumption of curcumin decreased the number of implantations and surviving fetuses, decreased fetal weight, and increased the number of resorption sites. Infertility. Similarly, Murphy reported that parenteral administration of curcumin, that's IV, or that's either parenteral, if I recall correctly, it can be any way that they get it into you where you're not actually. I believe parenteral is mostly IV. I don't think it includes tube feeding. I'm not going to look it up right now. Reported that parenteral administration of curcumin decreased folliculogenesis and hastened the onset of puberty in female mice. Hastened the onset of puberty in female mice. Have you noticed that with the young girls today, how they're having puberty so early, and other people will blame soy for the phytoestrogens? Hey, did you know that curcumin does it too? Now we get into soy. So people love, I'm not doing apologetics for soy. Soy is bad. Unfermented soy is extremely bad. So, well, I'm not going to go into soy. If you don't know soy is bad for fertility, I'm not going to go into that. But the thing to know is the things that everybody badmouths in soy are polyphenols, phytoestrogens, isoflavones. Okay. Your bioflavonoids are polyphenols. Oh, let's go further. Now we're going to go into the male animals and humans eventually. In males, treatment with curcumin reduced seminal vesicle weights. Other studies suggest that curcumin reduces the motility, ability to move, and viability, ability to survive, of human and murine, that's mouse, sperm, which results in failure of IVF, in vitro fertilization. Test tube babies, right? On the contrary, the adverse effect of EGCG, this is green tea, this is the big antioxidant in green tea, has been shown to have cytogenetic effects on mouse spermatozoa, sperm, in vitro. It's affecting the genetics. Okay. Upon injection into oocytes, eggs, a significant proportion of spermatozoa, sperm, treated with EGCG displayed pronuclear arrest. They stopped developing, degenerated sperm chromatin mass, and structural chromosome aberrations. Furukawa proposed that at high concentrations, as used in this study, EGCG is a pro-oxidant, and Kasukabe and Kamaguchi suggested that this leads to the deterioration of the sperm plasma membrane. Let's see if we got anything else. Now they get into soy. They get into soy and infertility. I'm not going to go into that. Most of you here hopefully know that soy, unfermented soy. What's fermented soy? That would be stuff like good. This would be the okay stuff. First, make sure your soy, if you're going to ever eat soy, make sure it's organic, so it's not genetically modified. The next thing, very important, is to eat only fermented soy. This would be like natto, tempeh, tamari, miso. This is not tofu. Okay. Am I going to be eating soy? I might do some tamari, which is like basically a fermented soy sauce. No, the aminos, those amino flavorings are not fermented. Would not touch that. Oh, let me see here if they go into it for the fetuses. No. Okay, so that's all we're going to go into in that. But here's the next thing. That sounds bad, right? So people go, oh, well, if I just stop eating them, I should be fine, right? I thought, because there's all these health gurus on the internet who like to claim, let's say that vitamin A is not stored in the liver, but then they'll say you need to eat liver because liver is the highest thing in the body in vitamin A. Do you understand how stupid that sounds? They just said the liver doesn't store vitamin A, but the liver is full of more vitamin A by leaps and bounds than any other part of the body. And also say that the liver doesn't store copper, but that the liver is higher in copper than anything else in the body. A child can figure that out that they're wrong. I showed on a giant Twitter thread about organ meats that, you want to know what they use in the research? They don't use the word store. So if people go and they type in store, liver store vitamin A, you're not going to find it because they don't use that word. They use accumulate. It's a big word. Some of these health gurus might be too big a word for them. They use the word accumulate. So I thought, let me go and do a search. Do we accumulate polyphenols in the body? That would be interesting, right? Do we store this toxin, this type of toxin in the body? Well, found this paper. Metabolomics reveal diet-derived plant polyphenols accumulate in physiological bone. Oh, do we have an osteoporosis and osteopenia epidemic? And yet everybody's trying to shove a rainbow of colors into their mouths? Eat the rainbow, get your vitamin A, get your plant antioxidants. Yeah. So, plant-derived secondary metabolites consumed in the diet, especially polyphenolic compounds, are known to have a range of positive health effects. Oh, they always have to say this at the start. I want to give you a tip. Like when people started noticing some vitamin A papers when I first started getting into this stuff, they always, whenever they're about to say something bad about vitamin A, they always start out the paper with vitamin A is good and essential because of this, right before they're about to drop the hammer and show you how bad it is. And then there'll be more apologetics at the end of the paper. And they'll make sure to remind you that vitamin A is a necessary and essential nutrient. This is called scientific gaslighting. So let's go into this. They are present in circulation after ingestion and absorption and can be sequestered or stored, put into cells within particular organs, but have rarely been investigated systemically in osteological tissues. That's bone related. However, a small number of polyphenols and similar molecules are known to bind to bone. So they fed pigs an acorn-based diet. We analyzed the diet, which was rich in allagitannins. I think let me look up if EGCG is an allagittannin. EGCG allagittannin. Just want to see if it's in the same category. They are tannins. EGCG is a tannin, I believe. Here's a paper, The Great Ellagic Acid Fraud. I think they got it. They figured it out. So let's see. We analyzed the diet, which was rich in allagitannins, extracts from the pig bones and surrounding tissue post-mortem. We found direct evidence of multiple polyphenolic compounds in these extracts and matched them to the diet. So you can store polyphenols in the bone. You know what else you can store in the bone that you don't want there? Lead. Birds of a feather, right? So we got that. Then we have the paper Plant Polyphenols as Dietary Antioxidants in Health and Disease. Let me go. Here, let me do the search. Here's how I found this paper. I'm going to type in I'm going to do a Control F. Accumulation of polyphenols in the tissues is the most important phase of polyphenol metabolism. Studies have shown that polyphenols are able to penetrate tissues, particularly those in which they are metabolized, such as intestine and liver. Wait, why are these things that are so good for us needing to be metabolized in the liver? Excretion of polyphenols and their derivatives occurs through urine and bile. What is things your liver puts into the bile are toxic. And the way that polyphenols would then get to the kidneys to get into your urine would be through bile getting into your blood. And the next thing it hits in terms of detox is the kidneys. It has been observed that the extensively conjugated metabolites, that's detox, are more likely to be eliminated in bile. And our bodies, the scientists constantly complain about polyphenols because they're not very bioavailable. We don't absorb very much of them. Why do you think that is? If the body's just going to detox them in the liver and excrete them through the bile and the kidneys, maybe the body doesn't want them. It's trying not to absorb them. When it does absorb them, the liver detoxes them, puts them in the bile for you to crap out. Or if the bile leaks into the blood, then they go to the kidneys and they leave that way. Maybe your body is fighting infertility. Do you think? Survival. Okay. So that's all I'm going to hit on that today. Do not force plant antioxidants, polyphenols down your throat. You want? Oh wait, let me go find this other one. Go into bioflavonoids. These are another polyphenol. So let's just say, there's the big scary virus that was around, and the alternative people with the alternative protocol, one of their big favorites was quercetin, right? So what if I were to tell you that the bad guys have a plan and they're going to get you on both sides? We already know about what the pokey is doing to pregnancies and fertility, right? Okay. So let's say you're an alternative person. You're like, I'm super smart. I don't go for the mainstream stuff. There's no way they're going to get me with that. I'm going to take these alternative protocols. I'm going to take quercetin. Okay, let's get into this paper now. I'm going to show you how they're going to get you on both sides, and I'm trying to be the guy telling you those aren't the ways. Here's the paper, Effect of Dietary Quercetin on Female Fertility in Mice, Implication of Transglutaminase 2. So they gave mice quercetin. Quoting, quercetin increased birth spacing, births further apart, leading to a 60% reduction in the number of litters. %60 reduction in the number of litters. Our study shows for the first time that dietary quercetin can cause reduced reproductive potential in female mice. And then everybody thought they were so smart because they're going to take ivermectin. The effect of that word on fertility, fecundity, and mortality of Anopheles arabiensis fed on treated men in Ethiopia. Oh, is this a pest? Sorry, this may be a parasite study. Yeah, okay, they're giving it to, yeah. This is not the one I wanted. Okay. We'll go into this one. Effect of that medication on male fertility and its interaction with P-glycoprotein inhibitor verapamil in rats. Let me see, where was it? What was the word I was looking for here? Where is it? The results revealed that administration of that med once weekly for 8 weeks induced slight fertility disturbances. Well, So what happens when people take that and quercetin and vitamin A, and they're trying to eat a high antioxidant diet? They're taking their supplements. They control both sides, folks. So if it's big time, it's like I went over the other day. Do you know how big the vitamin D supplement market was worldwide in 2019, 3 years ago, before the scare? $1.1 billion. $1.1 billion. Anybody who thinks vitamin D is an alternative thing anymore, you're sadly mistaken. Big pharmaceutical houses make all your vitamin D, and some of it they turn into rat poison and sell it to you to kill rats and mice in your house for when the Coumadin and the warfarin baits don't work anymore. They take it up a level and they give them vitamin D. And they tell you with these baits, do not let your dogs eat them because they will kill you. And they suggest that you handle them with gloves so they don't hurt you. Because when they over fortify milk with vitamin D3, people have died. So anybody who's out there trying to say, well, mice and rats are nocturnal, and so of course vitamin D, a hormone associated with the sun, is going to hurt them. It will kill your dog. It will kill you. They don't want you to reproduce. So what do they push? Turmeric and curcumin are wonderful. Well, make sure to take it with butter so you absorb it even better, and make sure to take it with black pepper, piperine, because that slows down your liver too, and it raises the amount of turmeric and curcumin in your blood. But just ignore all these studies where it damaged fertility. It just so happens to be bright yellowish orangish, which is a vitamin A color, a curcumin, carotenoid color. They are carotenoids in there, probably along with some polyphenols. Well, that's what curcumin is. Curcumin's a polyphenol, but there is carotenoids in there too. So who's the only guy out there talking about this stuff? So let's get into questions now. You accumulate polyphenols in your system and they damage your fertility. Don't eat them. Okay. So for those of you coming late or whatever, sorry, I'm in Arizona. We don't do daylight savings. So I'm doing the right time for me. Sorry if it messed you up. Okay. Oh, Sam, Sam was just finishing up. He wanted to say he'd like to emphasize the importance of low-fat meat and diet while having issues with bile. Dr. Smith, you saved me. Thank you so much. You are very welcome. Please, for those of you who are in like Facebook groups about Accutane survivors and Accutane side effects and Accutane nightmares and all this stuff, you know, do your best. I know you guys are trying to help others because those of you who have had the Accutane nightmare know it's absolutely terrible. And yet we have doctors continuing to give this medication to 12 to 17-year-olds. And this medication causes more long-term sexual side effects, damaging fertility than any other medication used Wait, fertility in men and women? You don't say. Who's the vitamin A guy telling you not to eat vitamin A? There are no coincidences. Do these doctors are probably mostly well-meaning? They're not probably evil people. They just have no tools. So, oh, sorry. We got the so there was a super chat. For those of you who really want to get your question answered, I just saw the super chat. I'm going to get to that in a second. Super chats are enabled. If you want your question to go to the top of the list, you can always do a super chat. For those of you who are here now, make sure to, if you want to click out of the chat and like this live stream, that really helps. And then make sure to subscribe to the channel. And then if you're here later, please comment below. That also helps this get out to more people. If you want to help spread this, that's how you can do it. I mean, you can share it on other social media, but most of it's, other than here on YouTube, it's pretty suppressed by everybody else because they're all competing with each other, right? So help others, help people in the Accutane groups. There's tons of shills in the Accutane groups, tons of shills, tons of big pharma paid shills. And they'll be like telling other people, I don't know if I should take Accutane and all this stuff. And they'll be like, oh no, it's totally fine. I'm on my 5th course and everything's fine. And if somebody's like, well, I did Russian roulette and I did 5 pulls of the trigger and I didn't die, your odds aren't that good if you try it too. And they could be completely lying. No one on the internet would ever lie to you, right? No one. So let me get to this one. Oh, well, M&M Professional Window Cleaners. Thank you for the generous super chat. He says, thank you for all the valuable free info. I'm also part of the Love Your Liver program. Well, awesome to have you. And as he says, don't have a question right now. So, wow, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So let's find the next question. Mehmet asks, is baking yeast okay to use or nutritional yeast? If it were me, I would do my best to not touch any yeast of any kind. Let me show you why. Let me go to my old forum. But for those of you who, when I post these old forum links, the nutritionrestored.com/blog-forum. Now, this is my old website. This is my old brand. I kept this forum up because I have like 500 posts there when I used to like wake up at 2 a.m. and I used to have chronic insomnia from vitamin A toxicity. And so I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and I wasn't going back to sleep. So what would I do? I would just research and type. It was very soon after I found out about all of this from Grant Generu. Thank you to him forever. And here we go. I'm going to put this. Wait. Here we go. Yeast causes you to store more vitamin A in your liver. Let me go into this one. Oh, and then there's also this one where they used yeasts. So the paper is called Biotechnological Production of Carotenoids by Yeasts Overview. So what does that mean? They're using yeast to make carotenoids. Hey, do you know what the other biggest producer of carotenoids is out there? Algae. What are they trying to sell you as superfoods? Blue-green algae and spirulina and chlorella, and they want you barren, sick, infertile, and dead. If you see the word superfood, I have made a promise. If there's still, I know, Pierre, you might want to do this. Pierre's listening, I'm sure. Pierre, if you want to search the network for the word superfood, I need to get rid of that word everywhere. Superfood is propaganda. If you see the word superfood, you should turn around and run away. So, where was I? On my yeast post. Oh, so yeah. Yeasts have been demonstrated to be carotenoid producers, showing an important growing capacity in several agro-industrial wastes, producing high levels of carotenoids. Agricultural industrial waste, and they put yeast in it, and it makes vitamin A. Does that sound good to you? Doesn't sound good to me. So let me go and find the other post. So this is from my post, multiple things thought to be healthy that make vitamin A toxicity worse. Let me move this back into my big, there we go. So this is the list of all the things that they found. So here's the paper of materials of plant and animal origin symptoms of hypervitaminosis A in the rat. Potentiating means they made it stronger. So they gave the rats vitamin A toxicity, and they gave them things of plant and animal origin, and they saw which things made them worse. Let me go through the list that I pulled out of this paper. Alfalfa meal, dried alfalfa juice, alfalfa residue, defatted alfalfa, Oreomycin HCl, this is an antibiotic, oat grass, dehydrated rye grass, orchard grass, wheat grass, fescue grass. Do I have people eat grasses generally? Not too much. We do use oats in the program. People are able to get into the rye thing, but we are not using the grass. Okay. Here we go. Desiccated liver made vitamin A toxicity worse. Imagine that. Water insoluble liver residue, water soluble liver concentrate. This next one's interesting. A product derived from fermentation sources. That's what they called it. Tuna solubles and fish solubles. Yeast, DPPD. I don't know exactly what that is. Palm kernel meal, coconut cake. Geez, is there a coconut fad going on? And coconut cake made vitamin A toxicity worse. Interesting. Dr. Smith, why are you not a big fan of coconut products? Maybe there's a reason. Acetone extracted herring roe. That's fish eggs, you Weston pricers. Soybean lecithin, phosphatidylcholine. Lecithin, phosphatidylcholine, for you choline lovers and you egg lovers, choline and phosphatidylcholine specifically is what your body uses to store vitamin A in the liver. And fish solubles. So here we go. Symptoms of hypervitaminosis A exhibited in the present experiment by rats fed supplements of alfalfa meal and other materials appeared to be identical in appearance, time of onset, severity, and incidence to those of rats fed the purified basal diet supplemented with amounts of vitamin A considerably in excess of the amounts present in the above rations. These findings suggest that supplements of alfalfa meal and other materials may have promoted an increased absorption or utilization or both of vitamin A. That unidentified factors exist in natural foodstuff which promote utilization of vitamin A have been reported by a number of investigators. That at least two separate factors exist in the above supplements would seem to be indicated by the observation that the yeast factor is soluble in fat solvents, whereas the fish factor is water soluble. And I had mentioned back then, before I knew as much as I did now, this was 2019, I mentioned at the end of this In my research, I had been becoming suspicious of lecithin being problematic already in this sealed deal. Lecithin, high in eggs, phosphatidylcholine, high in eggs, high in soy. Gosh, did they ever push soy on everybody? Soy lecithin? Now they're pushing like, what is it, sunflower lecithin? I'm not saying sunflowers are bad. Sunflower seeds are bad. I'm saying tons of lecithin extracted from it is not good. And then now there's this weird thing in the vitamin A detox world of people eating a bunch of eggs. My goodness. That's going to end badly. And I will be here to say, I told you so, when it does end badly. Eggs behind dairy are the second biggest food trigger of eczema. Eczema is a vitamin A toxicity state. I would not suggest eating the first or second largest trigger of eczema. Both are high in vitamin A, and thinking you're somehow doing yourself a favor on a vitamin A detox. You're not. It's going to end badly. I will be here to tell you I told you so when that happens. Okay. So, oh wow, that just jumped. Where were we? So no, I would not use yeast. Simple answer, no. Noof asks, what causes spider veins? What will help? That basically, I would look at them as spider veins are like mini varicose veins where the valves are the valves that, so you have valves. If you think of like your blood coming up your legs back to your heart, this is your vein. Inside that vein, there's a valve. It points in the direction of where the blood is going. So what happens is when your heart pumps and the pressure comes all the way around and then it's bringing it back to your heart, it forces open the valve, blood flows through, and then gravity, as soon as the pump is done, gravity is going to start pulling that blood down. So you have a pump, it opens, blood flows through, gravity for that second starts flowing back down. It's because of the design of this, it snaps the valve shut so the blood doesn't fall back all the way down. It'd be like you don't want to go up a ladder, go up one rung, and then go back down one rung. So these valves, you have a bunch of these valves, they open to let the blood through, and then they shut so it doesn't go back. So it's like the blood goes up a ladder almost. Spider veins, varicose veins, hemorrhoids are where those valves have broken. It's like instead of being like this, they're broken because there was too much back pressure. Why do varicose veins and spider veins tend to happen in the legs? Because that's where the most gravity is pushing down on those valves. So there's more back pressure on them to break. And then if the blood going to your liver, if your liver is congested, the blood that's supposed to go up to your liver has more back pressure on it. So your legs have the most back pressure automatically because they're your legs. They're the furthest from your heart and they're under your heart. The legs have the most back pressure. And then if you have liver congestion, you have even more back pressure. So the key thing here, obviously, other than like making your collagen stronger by minimizing vitamin A and minimizing copper and getting your zinc, would be to minimize the back pressure. Now, that would be fixing. That's the one biggest thing you can fix. I do not know I don't think the body puts energy into fixing old broken veins, varicose veins, spider veins. Unless they're very minor, the body kind of says, look, we've already made blood vessels around it. We've mitigated this problem, and your body really doesn't care about the appearance. But if you're getting more and more spider veins, you got problems. There's problems with your collagen formation. And there's problems with the back pressure. So probably too much bile in your blood, weakening your blood vessels. So that's the general approach. I mean, it would fall into my whole general approach, but if you were concerned about the appearance of them, an old one, like I have a spot on my inner thigh where I got hit by a baseball as a kid, got a couple little spider veins there. That's trauma. Are they going to go away? Do I expect them to go away? No, I don't. Am I go get like, I forget what it's called. They inject a sodium solution. I actually did it in practice in the dark days when I worked in an aesthetic clinic. But yeah, there's all sorts of things they can do for those veins. You don't expect them to fix themselves. What you can do is fix your health so that you don't form more. And that's what we do. So let's see. Noof asks your thoughts on tallow as a topical moisturizer. Tallow is fairly well oxidized. There's a lot of free fatty acids in tallow. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, the whole goal is to have it so you don't need moisturizer. But in the meantime, you got to find something. So I would try to find something, a fat that isn't cooked a long, long time. How do you oxidize fats? How do you break fats from triglycerides, which is a better form, if you will, into free fatty acids? Your liver stores toxins by taking the toxin, like vitamin, binding it to a free fatty acid, and then putting it into the liver. Oh, it also uses choline, phosphatidylcholine, LCAT. Yeah. What is it? No, it's LRAT. Sorry, LRAT, LRAT. It uses LRAT, lecithin, retinol, acyltransferase. You got your vitamin A, you got your free fatty acid, LRAT enzyme, which needs lecithin, that's the L, to bind them together to store it in your liver. This is why eggs are a perfect delivery and storage vehicle for vitamin A into your liver. They come with the lecithin and the vitamin A. They can just, it's right there already. So whatever oil you want to use on your skin, I would try to make it, cold pressed, naturally refined, organic. Don't want it cooked so it turns into free fatty acids and oxidizes. You want it organic. That should just be obvious. And naturally refined takes out most of the vitamin A and the free fatty acids. That's what refining, you want it naturally refined. Those are the words they use. You do not want it chemically refined. You don't want it, all these other weird things. Do I have great suggestions for you on this right now? No, I don't. But like when I come out with any of my products, they will be made with naturally refined oils. Yes. So Pierre was pointing out, I've gotten to know at least, Pierre's up in Canada, and he says, I've gotten to know at least one native North American, and he had thyroid problems and even had to take medication for it. Well, I mean, that is one example, but traditional diets, very high in animal products. There's articles on the natives who live up real high in Canada. They're full of lead. They're full, they eat organ meats and they're full of toxic metals. That's shocking. No, it's not shocking. If you haven't seen my organ thread on Twitter, let me put this here. I've not turned this into a video yet, but organ meats, absolutely. I go in this article go over lead and cadmium and arsenic and mercury and aluminum and all this, and how they accumulate or store in the liver of wild animals, of New Zealand grass-fed animals, of cage-free ducks. I mean, I don't know how many other places I can go to show. They got wild deer in there who are like full of toxic metals in their liver and kidneys, higher than what is allowed for people to eat. Do you think our government set those standards lower than they needed to? Or do you think they maybe even fudged them higher than they needed to? Do you think they're out to protect you? Yeah. Don't eat organs. throw them in the trash. But yeah, actually, let me find the old article from, let me do 180-degree health. What's it called? Thyroid face. Face. There we go. And he's got a picture of a native woman on the top, where the big round face, the puffy round face of hypothyroidism, who eat a lot of, organ meats, and especially those who are up towards the Arctic Circle, who eat lots of seal fat and whale fat and fish. They are so full of vitamin A, and they've got thyroid problems. This is just the way it is. Different people eat different diets, and they get different consequences from it. And that's why the natives up there, they have a word called pick-block-toe or pick-block-toke, which is hysteria. It's like hysteria, where they eat too much vitamin A and they actually go crazy. Let me see if I'll find an article forum about it. Over that in my eating liver video. Yeah, I'll just put this link there. So, oh, Pierre has experience in live streaming. Great, Pierre. Yeah, we're already talking, so we should do this. Okay, cool. Becca asked, would black beans be considered a high polyphenol food? When I soak mine, the water is pretty colored. So the thing is, we always want to think about, how do I put this? The context of it. So black beans, right? They're pretty white on the inside. So most of the black bean, it'd be like an apple, right? If apples have some polyphenols and some vitamin A in the skin, really, how much skin is there compared to the whole apple? You know what I mean? So black beans, we can't get too, if you get into the whole, like, all plant toxins are completely, you can't eat any of them. This is what I'm trying to say I'm not getting into. If we get into polyphenols and vitamin A are complete toxins and you shouldn't eat any of them, that's not what I say, then you're left with a muscle meat diet. That's it. Do I eat that? No. Absolutely not. So, I mean, like, what did I have this morning? I had some leftover. I make chicken thighs. I prep chicken thighs, skinless, so lower fat, organic chicken thighs. I prep them in the Instant Pot, cut them up. So I had a bowl of chicken thighs, and I had some leftover white, well-peeled mashed potatoes. Very low vitamin A morning. I'm not going to say, do I normally eat nightshades on a daily basis? No. So I don't normally eat white potatoes, but maybe once a week at the most. But I have them. Very high in potassium, which is really helpful for everybody. But yeah, so like polyphenols with black beans, I mean, you're gonna compromise it with something on every food. I know that I don't feel that great on black beans. I feel much better on pinto beans. So the choice for me, I'm not going to tell, and like Grant, the leader of the whole vitamin A toxicity movement from the beginning, he's done black beans every day for like the past 8 years. Or almost every day. He may have thrown in some pinto beans, but maybe he switched off the pinto beans because he didn't feel that great on them. So this is one of the things we do in my work, is like, if we know that, basically I'll put it this way. If you tolerate beans, the benefits of beans are generally going to be greater than the drawbacks. Okay. So am I worried about the polyphenols in black beans? No. Now, for some people, the amount of copper in beans is enough that they can't handle them. They may not know what it is in the beans that they can't handle, but they're just like, I don't feel good on beans. I tried them, and I just couldn't, Dr. Smith. And I'm like, okay, then don't eat them. It's fine. There's no food that you have to eat. Especially not if it makes you feel worse. That's not what we do here. Too many of you guys have followed health experts out on the internet, and they say, you got to eat this food, or you got to take 30 milligrams of zinc a day. And then you try it, and it's a disaster. And you're like, now I got to quit this guy's entire program because I can't do what he says to do. That's why this is much more flexible. This is the most flexible program you've probably seen, because in terms of fixing people, you don't get to get fit. Like, here's the thing, folks. If you're like, I want to keep eating like I have been, but I want to get better, what you did is what likely got you sick. So no, you don't get to keep doing the things that got you sick and get better. I'm sorry. That's not how this works. If driving around with your emergency brake on is what ruined your car, and then you're like, that you get it fixed, and then you go, well, I'm just going to pull my emergency brake on a couple of clicks. That'll probably be okay. You're probably going to ruin your engine again. It'll just take longer than it did the first time. But black beans, obviously they worked for Grant. Grant's health continues to improve years and years on, 7 or 8 years since he's been doing the low vitamin A diet. His health continues to improve, and he's doing black beans. So generally think of it as we reduce or minimize vitamin A. We reduce or minimize polyphenols. You cannot avoid them completely. But a simple thing would be like, drink water instead of green tea. And then you reduce your polyphenols. It's like stuff like that. Drink less coffee or no coffee. Toss the chocolate already. My goodness. It's not a health food. Okay. So let's see. John, I don't have time to look down at the comment, but you said reminds me of articles on a certain medical treatment popular since early 2021. Oh, the pokey. That. Yes. Yeah, as Pierre was saying to Hope, it's said very quickly. He's talking about how at the start of the articles, they'll whitewash it, and they'll be like, plant polyphenols are good for you for this reason and this reason. Vitamin A is necessary and essential for this reason and this reason. They say it really quick, and then they get into, oh, here's the shite show. Oh, and at the end, they make sure, well, further research is necessary because they're basically saying, we're really confused because we were told that this is really, really good for people, and now we have a disaster on our hands. How are we going to get funding next time? Because we want to publish this, but we also want to get funding, and we can't piss off. Right? So, vitamin D, yes. John, yes. I think. Let me go see if I can find. Well, here, so since we were talking about infertility, wow. I don't think I need to read much of this paper. With the title. So maternal women, ladies, you need to be more careful about what you put in your body before you're going to get pregnant and while you're pregnant. And you should probably work with me so I can help you not put things in your body that may cause miscarriages, make you infertile. We make people fertile. You should watch the fertility testimonials video on this channel. So here's the title of the study. Maternal hypervitaminosis D reduces fetal bone mass and mineral acquisition and leads to neonatal lethality. You know what? You do know what lethality means. Neonate is a newborn. Newborn death. So let me translate this title. Pregnant moms given too much vitamin D makes the fetus have lower bone mass, and it doesn't make as strong of bones, and it could kill your newborn. That's what that means. So oh gosh, wasn't that in the protocol for the COOF? Vitamin D and Iver and quercetin? What if those things made people feel better quickly so they get sold on the idea and then they're infertile? Don't. Oops. And the bad guys are like, oops, sorry. Did you become infertile? Oh, we're sorry. Here, you can pay $50,000 to get a child through IVF, and maybe you won't even do it. They were just talking about Jennifer Aniston, who may or may not be born a certain way, but IVF wasn't working for her now. So now they're starting to they're feeding it into the mainstream consciousness that you might even be doing IVF and it's not going to work because you're so messed up from what we all told you to do. That's in the research that only little old me is sharing in this way. And people want it. So if you're one of those people out there who's watching this and you want it to be one study that says this causes this and it takes this amount, you're not going to get them telling you exactly what they're doing to you. They're also not going to do studies just like with the jabbies. They're not going to tell you what happens when you combine poison A with poison B, with poison C, with poison D, with poison E, when you were born poisoned by poison I and poison G and H, and they're not going to tell you this. You have to assume all these things are synergistic, that they work together in a bad way, because they do. This has been shown with toxic metals forever. Like mercury and cadmium together are like you have a 1 mercury toxicity and a 1 cadmium toxicity, and you put them together and you have like a 5 toxicity. 1 plus 1 equals 5. This is what the toxins are doing. This is how they sneakily poisoned you. So you have to look at the research and say, if there's like an inkling of a toxicity, you should go, oh, that's toxic. I want to minimize that. You can't avoid all the plant toxins if you're going to eat plants. It's just the way it is. And do I think people should avoid all the plant? No, we find what we do in the Love Your Liver program is we find the least toxic ones. Like for an example, peeled cucumber and celery are 2 of the lower vitamin A foods and lower copper foods. Not a ton of calories in them. You're going to have to get your calories somewhere else. But if you just want something to fill in some foods, then those 2 foods are low in 2 of, and they're also going to be low in polyphenols. Hey, so we can use logic and aposematism, the appearance of things. Like cucumber's not super fragrant, if you know what I mean. Neither is celery. They're not bitter, or if you got bitter celery, just throw it out. But they're not brightly, strongly, darkly colored. They're not bitter. Like when you think bitter, think dark greens, dark leafy greens. And they're not, they don't have a strong smell. So we can use this, once we know how poisons are marked, to pick the least toxic things. Okay. Hope said turmeric. Oh, hello, Will. Turmeric made me sick to my stomach shortly after I ate something with it. I stopped using it. Yeah. Some of us are, here's the reality of it is, folks, some of us are much more in tune with our body's responses to things, and some of us are not gifted with that. If you're not gifted with it, you have to be more careful with the research and like listen to me more so that you can know what toxins are, since you don't feel it. And the more sensitive people like Hope and myself, we can feel it for you and then go, oh, yeah, that was not good. I don't like that at all. And, so use the sensitive people, the canaries in the coal mine, if you will. They're very helpful in terms of we can see reactions in them very quickly. So we can start seeing patterns very quickly. They also, can often less of things because their reactions are stronger, so they just don't need as much. Whereas the non-sensitive people often need more because, you gotta push them. But we still do it with testing, not guessing, then addressing. That's what we do when people work with me. Okay. Oh, wait. Why did this just jump? I don't know why this. Oh, there it is. Sorry. I saw another super chat. Okay. Ramon. Is the fat from an animal who lived a healthy and natural life, such as deer, healthy to consume, especially if it's whitish in hue? Thank you, Doc. Yes. Thank you for that, Ramon. I didn't scroll down for them yet. I will get to them. If we're talking about fat from like wild game that is in a healthy area, sometimes you go and you search on your local game and fisheries website and they're like, oh, there's a new disease going through the deer in the area, and so don't eat the deer or don't eat the deer organs or whatever. Then don't eat that. Those deer are probably sick because they got poisoned from something that was put out there. So, Ramon, in terms of if you go and you look at my organ meat Twitter thread, there was a lot of wild animals in there that were totally toxic in metals. So, if the fat is white, at least you're not dealing with a lot of vitamin A. That's good. And real game is not going to be super fatty. Like I was talking about with real game meat, like you got to cook it low and slow, or you're going to just dry it out, right? Because there's not a lot of fat in it. It's fine. I mean, I don't tell people not to eat any fat. It's just don't buy, stop thinking that an excess of animal fat is good for you. So what do I tell people? Like, minimize added fats and eat leaner cuts of animals. And like, what did I say about the chicken thighs that I made earlier? They're skinless. Like, I'm not like a Ray Pete freak where it's like, oh my God, the PUFA's in the skin is going to kill you. No, my kids get to eat the skin on the drumsticks and that stuff. But if I'm making chicken thighs that I'm going to have on a daily basis, I'm not going to have the skin on them. There's just no need. So that's a big question. So if somebody's like, if you took all the fat from a deer and you coagulated it all into a big old blob, like a giant blob of almost like butter fat, is you taking giant bites of that good for you? No, I don't think so. But is you eating like a piece of meat off of that deer or some ground meat from wild game that has fat mixed into it, is that bad or is that off limits? No. So that's basically, if you're eating meat, you're going to be eating animal fat. It's just we're not trying to eat stupidly excess amounts of it. Hope that makes sense. So yes, I would think, assuming that there's no local toxicity in the area, eating wild game is better than eating even grass-fed or conventionally raised. animal. Definitely better than conventionally raised. But if you don't know the toxicity in your area, you might be taking a risk. So that's what I got. It's always, context is everything for all of this. Let me see. I saw Will's super chat. Dr. Smith for U.S. Secretary of Health. Well, you don't get to vote for the Secretary of Health, right? They make sure that you don't get to vote. Not that the votes get counted correctly, probably anyway. The illusion of choice. That's what the illusion of choice. You can go conventional, say glyphosate is fine, and conventional animals are fine, but you should really be eating bugs and moving towards veganism. Or you can go alternative and you can eat fatty. The guys who are like, eat fatty meat all day, and they're like carnivores and they're trying to be natural. And like, game meat is so lean. This doesn't make any sense. And they're showing fatty ribeyes. It's like totally hypocritical, like trying to live in there. Anyway, so you're going to eat organs, tons of vitamin A. You're going to eat egg yolks, tons of vitamin A. You're going to eat dairy, tons of vitamin A. You're going to eat salmon, tons of vitamin A. You're going to eat fish eggs, tons of vitamin A. You're going to eat tons of fat, which is how you store vitamin A in your liver. You're going to eat no fiber. You don't poop out your bile bound to soluble fiber. You're going to be vegan and eat tons of carotenoids. The only thing that saves vegans, well, not much saves them because they get protein deficient generally. That's why they start wasting. Whenever you see somebody's, like if you go and you look at health celebrities on the internet, especially with men, if you see their neck really shrinking compared to the size of their head, they're wasting away. Sarcopenia, atrophy. Like one of the first places to get really skinny on guys that's very easy to notice is their neck. And you can see it on women too, but women start with thinner necks. But yeah, if you ever want to watch and assess if you ever see me, like my neck starts shrinking, somebody say something. I remember it was when I was a collegiate triathlete vegetarian. You can imagine me right now about 30 pounds lighter, 25 to 30 pounds lighter than this, 168 pounds, 6 feet tall. A buddy of mine who I worked with at the U of A gym goes, dude, your cheeks are starting to get sunken. Your cheeks are sinking in. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Because I have that thing where guys always think we look better than we do, often think we look better than we do, whereas women tend to have the opposite issue. Women think they look worse than they do, and guys think they look better than they do. So I had that problem. So then I go in the bathroom, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and so normally when you look straight on, when I look straight on, I didn't see it. And then I turned my head and I kind of went like this, and I went, oh my gosh, he's right. And I was trying to eat like 150 grams of vegetarian protein a day. I was eating a bunch of soy. The sickest and the weakest I have ever been in my life. Not ever doing endurance sports and vegetarianism. You got to learn 2 very good lessons for me all at once. Well, maybe 3. Get the soy out. Don't do endurance sports because I'm not built for it. And meat protein is really important for me. And as I've done the vitamin A detox longer and longer, I've realized that I do better with a more like a 75% muscle meat diet and 25% plant stuff. Some people do the opposite. Some people do better on 75% plant stuff and 25% muscle meat. That's fine. We're trying to find what works for you. So let's see. I don't think super chats, and I got to get going to my inner circle inside the Love Your Liver Network who get extra Q&A, where I get to be a little even more controversial than I am here because it's hosted on Vimeo, so I pay them, so they don't Censor. Anyway, I got to go. Hope you all enjoyed it. For those of you who want to find me, the Love Your Liver program, which is the do-it-yourself thing, members.nutritiondetective.com. If you want to work with me, that's nutritiondetective.com on the consultation tab. And then feel free to binge watch here. My links to social media are down below. Make sure to like and subscribe and try to comment here. That will help us reach more people. For those of you who came late, sorry, I'm on Arizona time. And so we didn't change our clocks. We never change our clocks. It's awesome. So anyway, sorry about that. I will see you all next week. Same time, same place. Bye now.